So we're on to the last match where I was very tilted, so I forgot to record game one of match one. What ended up happening was my opponent, look, I kept a hand of 2 LEDs, a Gitaxian Probe, a Dark Ritual, an Infernal Tutor, a Past in Flames, and a Tendrils. So, no lands. And a hand that's very soft to a Force of Will. I was on the play, fortunately. So I probed, saw no Force of Will, and drew another probe, which is fortunate because I didn't do the math on the storm count. And we would have been 1 storm shy if we'd drawn something we couldn't have cast. Fortunately, I think at that point we were live to any piece of fast mana, possibly any cantrip, because once we flash back Past in Flames, we can... So the line is essentially we cast Gitaxian Probe. If we see that we're clear of Force of Will, we can go LED, LED, crack for red, crack for black, flashback Past in Flames, 1 black in pool, flashback Dark Ritual, 3 black in pool, then we can Infernal Tutor for whatever it is that we need. So an Infernal Tutor for an LED gets us up to 4 black mana to cast Tendrils, or an LED for blue leaves us live if we draw something like Ponder, at which point, once again, any piece of fast mana will get us there. Fortunately, we drew into a probe, and then we probed into a land, and we just got to kill them. So they're playing Grixis Delver, by the way. We're going straight to sideboard. We have boarded in a Therapy and an Empty the Warrants, and cut an Ad Nauseam and a Preordain. And we'll get started. So I think at this point we're really hoping to come back after our colossal punt against our previous opponent. Realistically, what I should have done is stopped playing for the afternoon and come back at a later date, as I was clearly not thinking very well and was pretty angry. So we're going to be on the draw for this. We're going to keep a... It looks like a pretty solid hand. And it just got a bit better. I think we should just lead on a fetch land here. And hope that our opponent doesn't have something like Probe Therapy with Days backup. So the Bloodstained Mire is telling me here that we may possibly have put them on the wrong deck, and that they could be on something like the Grixis Pyromancer deck, which I didn't think ran Deathrite Shaman, or that's all I can think of really. So I think we're going to probe now. So I don't really know why I put back the ponder there. I don't think that was clever. We definitely should have put back 2 lands, kept the ponder, cast the ponder, while our opponent was tapped out. So unfortunately, with the position we've left ourselves in now, we're happy to run out any of these lands. None of them particularly matter. But we're now leaving ourselves fairly wide open to something like a therapy or a spell pierce. The spell pierce itself won't actually take us off the ponder, but it does start to get their clock going just a little bit faster, which is really one of our main concerns here. Pyromancer is probably the premier threat in this matchup just because it takes over the game so quickly. We saw he kept in an angler, which I think is wrong. Deathrite's fine, but it's a touch on the slow side and can be beaten fairly easily by going wide. Pyromancer is fast, goes wide, and once you get a cantrip chain going, gives you about, once your opponent gets a cantrip chain going, gives you maybe like 2 turns. My opponent should almost definitely be taking ponder here. So the reason why I don't think Dark Ritual was the correct name is it gets you a 2 for 1, but we're not looking particularly pinched on mana. We have a lot of lands. And we're going to have to mulligan that, I think. Sorry, not mulligan that, shuffle that. Alternatively, I guess we could take the Dark Perdition and hope to top deck. I think that's fine too, actually. Oh, so we really can't. So what we need to do here is, okay, so our opponent can spell pierce. We can pay. We called a Force of Will. So we're really betting hard on them not having drawn a blue card here, which is not a good bet, because I'm pretty sure we saw the Force of Will a little bit earlier. I'm not sure how I guess we needed to fetch earlier. In order to get some black going and beat the Spell Pierce, but yeah, we're just going to have to scoop it up there. Okay, so we've seen days. That definitely tells us we're on an actual, or up against an actual Delver deck, just with a slightly odd mana base. Specifically the Bloodstained Mires there, just in case anybody's wondering why I was saying that. The Bloodstained Mires can't fetch up a trop, which is standard for the Grixis mana base. This hand is pretty awful. We're running out the Lotus Petal here in case they have a turn 1 discard spell. We want to be able to basically hide Tendrils. Losing Tendrils would... It's not guaranteed to cost us the game, but it's not where we want to be. Our opponent's not doing anything. They're kind of repping Stifle to an extent here, so I think we're... or Spell Pierce. We're happy to hold this Brainstorm for a little longer. So I think we're happy to play out the LED. We're happy to play out the LED here because we have a second. They're probably not going to Ancient Grudges. Once again, it's one of those situations where you never can tell. We're just going to have a peek at what's going on, and we're going to hold back a Duress for our combo turn. And so our opponent they have a reasonable hand. I feel like it's one we can beat with just an Infernal Tutor. It's going to cantrip heavily, and we're going to hope to top deck Infernal and cast Duress. If we can top deck Infernal and cast Duress to take the Force of Will, we can beat the days easily, and we can probably drop 10 to 12 goblins on the board, and hopefully dodge Pyromancer. If he plays a Pyromancer here, our plan might have to change. Okay, and somehow he's managed to find 3 out of his 4 Force of Wills this match. So we're in a really rough spot. Generally, 1 to 2 Force of Wills is, depending on how you go throughout the game, not terribly hard to beat. Your opponent finding all of them and being able to cast most of them is actually severely problematic. especially now he's going to back it up with a very real clock, and I'm just not sure we have time. So our opponent should probably force pitch days, which is what they do. This increases their clock and lets them keep a force of will. We know they've got force plus ponder in hand. I think his therapy probably seals this up. And so we're going to go down to 10 this turn. Our opponent can deal us 5, 7 next turn. Okay. So if we can dodge a bolt, we have another turn. And unfortunately, yeah, we just can't beat the therapy there.